You're plugged into Schaumburg Speaks, a podcast highlighting and celebrating local businesses and community in the Schaumburg area.
Welcome to Schaumburg Speaks, the podcast where we're plugging into business and community, celebrating the people, partnerships, and companies that make Schaumburg such a strong place to live, work, and grow. I'm your host, Andrea Biwer, president of the Schaumburg Business Association, and today's episode is titled Building a Legacy. Joining me today is James Wienold, owner and CEO of Bear Construction, and Alicia Gabriel, account executive at Bear Construction, and a valued member of the Schaumburg Business Association Board of Directors. And a little bit about Bear is Bear works across multiple sectors in the construction industry, right. Municipalities, solar, education, healthcare, industrial, tenant improvement, and retail. James and Alicia, my friends, welcome to Schaumburg Speaks.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Good. How are you doing today? How are you feeling?
It's been an interesting day. The storms all went through down in Kankakee, where we actually have one of our offices, and some of our employees were affected by it. Some had damaged their homes and had hail coming down the size of a baseball.
So it was not good.
Yeah, it's been a busy late night and a busy morning so far.
So here we go, and thank you so much again for being our guest today on Schaumburg Speaks. So let's just start with you, James, from the beginning. Every company has a story, and so what inspired you to start Bear Construction, and what did those early days look like?
We started in 1984, 85, incorporated 84, actually started working in 85. We started out primarily as a carpentry contractor, not necessarily a general contractor. My dad was a white-collar guy, and but yet he put all five of us through college without any student loans, so that was a great thing.
Incredible.
Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Yes.
So actually, my Nick was working as a general foreman for a construction company out of Chicago that they've long since retired and moved on. So he was with that company for 17 years. My brother George was a union carpenter for 11 years, and so when I went to college for construction management with the intention of, when I graduated, we would start Bear Construction. So I graduated in May of 1985. We started working out of a one-bedroom of a house that my brother George lived in. We started out primarily as a carpentry contractor, and so all jobs seemed big to us at first. We didn't have any credit line or line of credit with the bank, so everything that we had to buy material-wise and such was our own pockets. So we started out working in the field ourselves, and as we grew and hired a few people, I was the first one to come into the office out of the field.
And where was your first office located?
It was located on basically Algonquin and Bussey.
Okay, so close to here.
Yeah, not too far away.
Yeah, fabulous.
So as I mentioned, we worked out of a bedroom of George's house, and so as we hired a few people, I was the first one to come to the office, hired a few more people. My brother George then came to the office and hired a few more people, but Nick came to the office. And that's kind of how we started. And over the years, first 3 years, we worked for larger general contractors as a carpentry contractor. And then a lot of our clients were saying, hey, we'd rather work directly with you as a company than working through a larger general contractor, and so we kind of evolved in being a general contractor just by basically client demand and such.
So what was a particular project that you think defined Bear, like to get you to the point where you realized we could really make a go of this and this is going to be what it is today?
There's definitely two projects that come to mind when I think about that. The first one being the old Chicago Post Office. Money was probably driven underneath it, going down the Eisenhower Expressway. Drive through the building. It was the largest historical redevelopment in the country. I think to this day, I believe it still is. It was about 2.75 million square feet, and the job was about a 4.5-year project for us. So it was a very large job, and one that to this day we're very proud of.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So my son actually got married this past New Year's Eve, and they went and they shot their wedding
at the post
wedding party pictures and such and photos there.
That is so cool. And you mentioned there was another project. What was another one?
Yep. The other one is the Chicago Boys and Girls Club, which
Okay.
it was a new out of the ground building, 3 stories, about 30,000 square feet, and it was very nice to do something where you were giving back to the community, and it's a very unique building where there's actually teaching there. One of the things we built was a kitchen for training area. And the students there are obviously learn how to cook and such. And then there's regional restaurants right around the Boys and Girls Club, but they go and work and actually teach them a trade. So very proud of that building. It's something that we love giving back to the community and something that's near and dear to us.
I mean, that is so cool. You hear about a lot of construction companies, but not only have you done historic buildings, you've also done projects that have changed people's lives and made it better today. So I know you work across multiple sectors in the industry, and we touched upon them earlier. How have you seen the construction industry really evolve since the late 90s, 2000s to where it is now?
Well, we've seen a lot of different changes over the past 25 years. We've gone through we weathered a lot of different storms. In 98, we had the dot-com crash of 1998. 2002 was 9/11, of course. 2008 was I guess the second worst depression since the Great Depression, and then of course 2020 we all had COVID. So we've gone through a lot of different things in the history of our company and survived. Definitely things have become more competitive. I think that's happened through the advancements in technology. Like when we first started in business, you had the fax machine, and now the fax machine doesn't even really exist anymore, no longer. And so that's something that you have to constantly invest in technology to keep your company relevant. Things are a lot faster paced now. It used to be that we had 3 to 4 weeks to bid a project, even a medium-sized project, and now you have a week. So now everything's done through the internet instead of having to to print and send out drawings to your subcontractors and such for pricing. So there's been a lot of changes. It's definitely much faster. And to deal with it, we've also expanded our footprint. As we only used to have one office out of unincorporated Arlington Heights, as I mentioned before. And now we have an office out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, an office in Bradley, Kankakee area in Kankakee County. We've recently opened offices in both the East Coast and West Coast of Florida, 2 different offices.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and we've also opened an office. So we've opened offices since the start downtown Chicago. We have 2 offices, one at 1 North LaSalle, and another office at the Merchandise Mart. We did that because of just kind of client demand. It got to be where I think our workers, our office staff, were basically spending half of their day driving to and from Chicago. So we to solve that, we cut that and we built an office downtown Chicago, and which has about 35 people working there to this day.
Sounds like a lot of what sets you all apart is the fact that you've taken care of your employees and you've evolved with the times. That's just incredible. You don't hear about the growth that companies have like you all have experienced through hard work. So I feel like I kind of know the answer to this question because I've had the opportunity to work with you all, and I know how fantastic Bear Construction and your team is. But what do you believe, Jim, as the founder with your brothers of this company, that truly sets Bear Construction aside from the other companies?
I think there are a lot of construction companies that can build projects. There are a lot of quality contractors in the Chicago region and elsewhere. I think what sets us apart is not just building the building, but the way you go about building it. And it's about relationships and communication with your clients, and your reputation. We're a family-owned company, so our reputation is the most important thing to us, and something that we look to pass on and take pride in. The community and culture that you work with people and with clients and such. So that's why we get so involved with the community and trying to give back and and such.
That's amazing. Well, you talk about culture, and I'm just going to throw this question at Alicia. Alicia, how would you describe the culture? You've worked for Bear through the years. How would you describe it?
So I would describe the culture really as a family-owned business. There is an opportunity really when you talk about respect, integrity, really understanding our employees' values, getting to spend a lot of one-on-one time with them. The one thing I would say, because we're a smaller business, there is a lot of visibility with leadership, with Jim, with the employees. So getting to know folks one-on-one is really important. And then I think the other is the spirit of caring and giving. I think we're a company, not a lot of companies have a foundation. We do have a foundation, a Bear Care Foundation. It's really based on what do our employees care most about, and where should we be spending our time in terms of community and volunteer efforts. So it's having the opportunity to really listen to our employees, both from a professional perspective and then things that they genuinely care about in their lives. And then leaders leading, George, Jim, very visible in the office, open door policy. So people do get an opportunity to know them more on a more intimate basis, I think, than some other companies.
Yeah, that is super cool. So you mentioned your workforce, how important that is to you. What does Bear do differently? And I don't know who wants to answer this question, to develop your workforce.
I think the one benefit also in a small business, when you talk about development, it really lends itself to two things. You've got workers in the workplace that are really great individual contributors. They love their job, not ready to progress, or just their life isn't conducive to that, but they want to learn new traits. We have someone who said, you know what, I love my job, but I would love to be able to speak in public and get opportunities to do that. So we've provided opportunities.
That's amazing. For a construction company, you just think you're building or you're fixing or you're doing all of that, but you all are so much more.
It's a lot. It's each individual plan. And then, of course, you've got people who are going to be the successors in the company, right? And having the opportunity to work one-on-one of the future leaders. A non-cookie cutter approach. So having the opportunity to really hone in on developmental skills for the individuals that eventually will lead the company is something Bear takes a lot of pride in, and that we work a lot on.
Yeah, we definitely work with each employee individually. We try to establish SMART goals for them. It's not cookie cutter where each person is the same. So you try to work with them and establish goals. And through that, we do a lot of online coaching and teaching.
That's incredible.
We do outside coaching that we bring outside educators in for to help teach things to our employees. Because if you don't address the employees' desires and help them grow and develop, then over time, what happens if you don't do that? You lose them. They leave and go somewhere else. So.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I know your industry could be very high stress and it's deadline driven. How do you, with deadlines and stuff, how do you maintain the trust? Because anybody that I've talked to that works for you, I mean, the one thing that they say is, again, such the integrity that you and your brothers and, the people at the top, it trickles on down of how much they enjoy working for you. So how do you guys maintain that? Is there a secret sauce that you could share with us? Because we all need this for our company.
Right. I don't think there's any secret sauce.
And how do you maintain it with your clients?
One thing, I think the most important thing with it is constant communication. Communicating with your clients, communicating
not by fax, right?
Not by fax,
not
right?
Anymore.
Fax is gone.
Yeah.
Just communicating with your clients and letting them know you care about their work, and same thing for our employees, letting them know you care and you care about them.
I think the one thing too is, and I don't think this is unique in a construction company, is you're always going to have issues and challenges. And the more we can be open and honest about those challenges with our clients and or employees, I think that builds trust. Open, honest communication, coming to the table with a plan. If a project is delayed or a part is delayed, how can we overcome that? Maybe it's a temporary solution without actually delaying the project. And I think the same is true for our employees. COVID is a great example, right? Where, we weren't able to operate at full capacity, but how do you protect your employees who need to work, but also being open and honest and saying, but we can't all do 5-day work days. So I think it's just being open, honest, great solutions, and that really builds the trust internally and externally.
Yeah, I feel it. Everybody, you're in the construction industry, but a lot of people could take notes in other industries on what they could take from what you're saying to their business. Okay. All right. So who knows when our listeners are going to be listening to this particular podcast, but it is International Women's Month, Women's Day. Mm-hmm. And Alicia, it's interesting, you think construction industry, maybe we're all old school. I always think it's just men. It's a male-dominating industry. So how did you get here? Like, what has your journey been? And what advice would you give young, old, middle-aged, whatever, ladies that are looking to get into your industry?
So I actually started, I've been very fortunate because I worked for United Airlines, which also, for 36 years, which also was very much a male-dominated industry. So coming to Bear was not
thick skin.
Was not a significant change for me, but 50% of women are in the workplace. 11% of them occupy space in the construction industry, so pretty low. So the transition for me was not as difficult, I think, because I had already gone through it. But I have advice that I always like to share with people either entering the industry in construction or any other male-dominated. One is believe that you belong in the room. Your voice and your ideas do matter. Growth. Continue to educate, learn, because the more you learn and know, people are going to respect you. The other is seek out mentors, and that is both female and male. They'll be such a big part of your journey, but also just learning side by side with them is really key. Stay focused on your goals. You really are bringing this industry forward through your voice and through your ideas. And your voice matters because that's the next generation. And if you can influence or somehow bring a more comfortable setting to the next female or younger generation, then you've done so successfully.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we have definitely seen an uptick in interest from women and young ladies. We've done different career fairs at high schools and colleges, and there definitely is and it's a good thing for the industry as well. So
that's awesome, and you've embraced that. So both of you are invested in the Schaumburg business community. I know you have a lot of clients that you do work for their offices and hospital, what have you. Why is it important to Bear? You're part of the Schaumburg Business Association as well, so you support. Why is it important for Bear to have roots in Schaumburg? I'll start with Alicia.
Schaumburg's been really important in terms of visibility for our company. So much of our work previously has been in the city or in the outskirts of the suburbs. So while we actually reside here, there hasn't been great presence. And so the opportunity to team up with the Schaumburg Business Association a few years ago really brought some visibility to our company. But also our values align with Schaumburg. Schaumburg is about the community, strengthening not only the business community, but also our not-for-profits and our charity organizations, which really aligns with Bear's culture. It's also about collaboration. That's something that we've done, for 43 years, and this community is all about collaboration. A great example is we are currently building a quality of life room for the Schaumburg Police Department. That is all based on collaboration and partnership with this community, where we've got a painter, where we've got a plumber and an HVAC person. Those things happen because of what Schaumburg brings to not only Bear Construction, but to all the construction opportunities, and an opportunity to also showcase other companies who maybe haven't been in business for 43 years, and an opportunity to help them grow their business. So Schaumburg offers a lot of opportunity, not just for Bear, but other business partners.
Right.
That's incredible.
And in doing so and getting involved with the local communities, obviously you build long-standing relationships with them. Bear's going to be here long after I'm retired and out of the picture. So you're building those relationships and loyalty from the people you work with all the time. It also helps us attract employees as well.
Sure.
More and more of our employees are coming from the areas and communities around the Schaumburg and around Mount Prospect, Rolling Meadows, and Alton Heights area. So by getting involved with the local communities, it's a way of us supporting them. They support us, and we'd like to give back where we're at places where we're, one, regionally located, also where we're working as well.
Yeah, and you all give back like no other, that's for sure. And I know, Alicia, new this year, you joined the Schaumburg Business Association Board of Directors. I know you've helped chair one of our women's organizations, SWAG, our alliance group, which is now an SBA event monthly. How has being part of the Schaumburg Business Association been for you personally, and then professionally, and now that you're a board member, tell us about your experience.
So for me personally, really strengthening the women organization was really important to me. And I think we talked a little bit about this earlier, about not only just for the industry, we're in an industry where it is not largely populated by women. But I think what the women's group brings that's been very different for me than other women's organization is Schaumburg Women's Group really focuses more on the heart and soul of the issues, not just developmental. So it really allows for strengthening of relationships and partnerships. And again, that's very unique to Schaumburg. And from a board perspective, it's an opportunity to really be more immersed in, so what does the economy look like 5 years, 10 years from now? And how can we, as Bear, make sure that we've got tools and our workforce is equipped to be able to help the community as it begins to build? And then it's also looking for opportunities in the community for giving back. We've got a lot of need, not just in Schaumburg, but in the outskirts, and how can we be part to bring that to the forefront and really move that forward? So being parts of those has really allowed the opportunity. Thank you.
Well, we love having you on the board. And, finally, Jim, this segment is about legacy. And you've told us so much on how that legacy began and how it's developed in the future. Personally, what does legacy mean to you as you look ahead to the future?
Well, to me, legacy is about the company and carrying on long after the original three of us are retired from the company. Brother Nick retired about 8 years ago, and Brother George is in process of scaling back right now, and actually just became a resident of Florida. So he spends the majority of his time down there, of course.
You're not allowed to retire, nor are you. We want you here.
I have several years left, so I'm here for a while yet.
Yeah.
But the company continuing on after the three of us are like I say, as I said before, retired, and in doing so, building the employee base up and the families, and also carrying on with the community for long after we're retired.
Yeah, I love that. So 10 years from now, where do you see Bear?
I see us expanding our reach, our geographic footprint further and further. I see us going into new markets, expanded markets and such, probably things that we don't even know that exist right now with all the changes in AI and technology and such.
When someone looks at a Bear construction project, because I know you do hospitals and you do several other, like even the police station that you're helping out with, what signifies that it's Bear?
I don't know if it's so much individually as Bear, but obviously craftsmanship, and I think more importantly, the care that it took to go into that. And the post office is really a project that really speaks to that, because the goal was to restore it to its original state, which is, such a historic landmark. And when people walk through that building who are older and maybe remember that building and can say, oh my gosh, the clock in the lobby looks just like I remember. That's what you want to be remembered for, is the quality, the care that you took in every project. So it's not always just name. It's really about the project and some memorable moment or distinguishing factor when someone walks in the building. And then you've done everything right.
That's so cool. So I am just feeling the legacy regarding your company. This has just been an amazing talk and hearing about the history and the culture and all of that. I know our listeners are listening right now, and many that may have projects from a business side. How could they contact you to, have you bid on a project?
So it would be directly through me, and it's just aliciag@bearcc.com. And
Wonderful.
I'm in the directory as well.
So they could go to schaumburgbusiness.com and get Alicia's information, or call our office, or see you all at some of our upcoming networking events, because I know you're there, supportive, and all of that great stuff. So thank you all for being here.
Definitely. Thank you.
This has been so much fun.